Now, the multiplication symbol isn't the only symbol that is used to represent multiplication in mathematics. Now, 2 times 3 can also be written using a dot notation like this. So 2 times 3 can be written as 2.3, essentially, although we don't really tend to say dot. We just say 2 times 3, okay? Now, this notation is used in different countries, so different countries adopt it rather than the multiplication symbol. But also, when you get to degree level, you'll see this dot appear more. You do see a little bit at in A-level maths as well, but not a great deal. But you do see it more so in degree level in the UK. But different countries, as I say, use it in place of the multiplication symbol, and are very happy using that. In print, sometimes you'll see it written like this. So, because it's quite easy to write a decimal point, or a full stop rather, so that then causes a bit of a problem, doesn't it? Because some people would then go, oh, that's 2.3, not 2 times 3. Okay, but actually this is representing 2 times 3, which is 6. So you can start to see that decimals with algebra start to become a bit of a problem, especially if you're using that dot as a multiplication symbol as well. Okay, so you could kind of see, okay, what if I had something like 2 times 5.1? Okay, and now it's really starting to look confusing, right? So that is not a good idea. So decimals, when we're working with algebra, at this stage, I would say, we really opt to use fractions instead of decimals. And this is then permeated through A-level maths, where we really don't like using decimals much at all, apart from in problems that involve some context, where a decimal, writing it as a decimal, is easier to interpret. Okay, in some cases, but mathematically we try and keep with fractions nearly all the time. So rather than writing something like 1.5x, okay, what you want to get into the habit of is thinking, well, what is 1.5 as a fraction? So that's 3 halves. So we want to write that as 3 halves x. Okay? Or, as we've seen, this is the same as 3x over 2. Okay, those two notations mean the same thing. So we want to write it as 3 halves x rather than 1.5. Now you might be going, oh no, well, I'm not a big fan of fractions. Why do I have to write it as a fraction? Well, as I've said, it makes it look a lot neater. And especially if you want to go on to extend mathematics further, then fractions is really the way to go and to get used to doing that. So try to avoid decimals as much as possible. And don't forget that if you're in a calculator paper, then if you're writing down, if you're ending up with saying, let's say 0.2x, for example, then you can always type 0.2 into your calculator and convert it into a fraction. So if you've got a scientific calculator, 0.2, press the equals button, it may well convert it automatically into 1/5. And so that is 1/5 x, or x over 5. Okay, so try and use fractions as much as possible when you're working with algebra.